Welcome to Lost Without Japan, a travel podcast about the life-changing experiences of exploring Japan and those moments we would be lost without. For your listening pleasure, allow me to introduce your very own Kanko Gaido, Michael.
Welcome to a special Lost Without Moments bonus interview episode of the Lost Without Japan podcast. Our bi-weekly podcast is focused on getting you to Japan for your first visit or to make your next adventure to Japan even better than your last. Today's special interview is with Michael Westbay from Japan Ball Tickets, who is based out of Yokohama, Japan. And Michael and Japan Ball Tickets truly can add something unique to your either first trip or a next trip and allow you to easily, going without the service. We were kind of talking before this even started. Unless you have, a pretty good Japanese level and a Japanese credit card and a Japanese address, like all these different things that are here, these experiences could easily be out of your reach without going through Michael's service. But I don't want to get too ahead of myself, and I will let Michael share about his life in Japan and all you can look forward to after you end up reaching out to him. This is your director of travel for TKIC Studio Productions, coming to you with positive thoughts and excitement for your next journey to Japan and my own return again next summer. And Michael, I would truly like to thank you for giving me a bit of your time today, as well as everyone that is listening to both of us today. I truly hope that this podcast finds you all in a great place or on the path to a better one, no matter how it may seem at this moment. My belief is that we can all use a beacon like this one in our lives to help guide us during these times. And my hope is that Japan, along with this show, will become that for you. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. If you're a returning Lost Without listener, thank you again for your time and returning once more. For today's show, let me introduce our special guest, whose website, japanballtickets.com, is part of the Japan Ball empire that was founded by Bob Bavisi, with tours now run by Shane Barclay. It's truly amazing how using the service back in 2017, 2019, and again in this year made me want to reach out for an interview after having such a positive experience myself. And you know what? Like I'll never turn down a chance to talk baseball, no matter where it is in the world. So I truly feel very fortunate to have Michael join us today and can't wait to begin our interview today. Welcome, Michael.
Hi, welcome. Thank you.
Thanks so much for making time today for everyone and joining us on this episode as we, take some time to talk Japan and give you an opportunity to share a bit about yourself and how your time in Japan began. Because one of the things that this show does, besides like day trips and travel advice and, things like that is kind of talking about how people have made it to Japan and like what you can do when you're there. So the floor is yours, my friend.
Okay. Well, to start off my journey through Japan, we'd have to rewind a few decades. I first arrived in Japan in high school back in the early 1980s when my dad got a job as the recreation director at Yokosuka Navy Base. I always preferred my time off base over on base, and exploring the Electronics Avenue of Akihabara back then, before what it became now, it was just such an experience after growing up in a little farm town in the middle of California, just being able to hop on a train and go to Akihabara and the big city lights and everything. It was just such a transformation of my life. And so, armed with a kanji to English dictionary about 5 centimeters thick, I taught myself how to read Japanese in order to use the Japanese computer that I bought, an NEC 8201 laptop computer. It had a little LCD display 40
Yes.
characters by 8 characters. Oh,
Yes.
I loved that machine. But I wanted to learn how to program it. So I would buy the monthly Japanese computer magazines, and they had programs in it. But everything explaining the program was in Japanese, of course. So my Kai dictionary helped me learn what it was doing in the explanations, as well as being able to read the manuals. And so I kind of had a unique experience in learning Japanese, in that I was able to read before I was able to speak. The main problem being that most people who have studied Japanese know that there's onyomi and kunyomi for how to read kanji. Well, I started learning in eiyomi, that is the English reading of the kanji. So my ability to speak was not nearly as good as my ability to read. So when I went off to college at San Diego State University, I was majoring in computer science and minoring in Japanese. A lot of people thought, that's interesting when I first started. But as was very clear when I finished, everybody said, oh, that was smart. As I was the only person in my Japanese classes who was able to get a job in Japan in what they studied. Everybody else was a business major, and
Mhm.
all anybody else could find in a job in Japan was teaching English. But I did take 1 year off of college to participate in the exchange program San Diego State had with the Yokohama National University. And in that 1 year at Yokohama Kokudai, I took all of the computer courses for second, third, and fourth year students. The computer stuff was easy. It was learning it in Japanese that was difficult and the goal. I wanted to be able to listen and speak in Japanese around computer related things. That 1 year taking all of the computer science courses really, really helped me when it came time to graduate and apply for jobs in Japan.
The whole way of going about things, and it's not now where you can kind of point your Google Translate phone or other different things and kind of use that to go along. That is a lot of motivation to want to be able to use what you have like,
Yeah.
purchased and be able to go through, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it was all a learning experience. I learned more outside of class in high school than in class because I was driven to return to Japan after college. I had decided there in high school that I wanted to be a computer programmer in Japan. And so everything after that was working toward that. In 1991, I got a job at a Japanese database company. Most of what I did was build tools for mainframe databases, linking them to PCs, and generating reports for data analysis. And in my free time, I started writing about Japanese baseball on the web. That was in 1995. I got my first homepage, what was it? 1 megabyte of free space that I could use to create pages. I started translating the Japanese baseball news from the newspaper and posting it online. And the day after I made my first post, I got an email from somebody saying, oh, I understand my friend Bobby Valentine is there in Japan. Have you met him? And I'm like, no, I'm just translating
No,
things on
no,
the I'm just translating things from the newspaper. And but I eventually met Bobby, and it was the start of my baseball career on the internet. I also just in my spare time I started a Japanese baseball database in order to keep track of stats and stuff and to post them on the internet again. And so I don't know. I seem to have been a full-time student outside of work and school. I just enjoy learning everywhere I go, everything I do is to learn new skills. Even now, I'm learning new programming languages and things to level up my abilities.
Michael, like, all of that is like a story in and of itself. I'm sure you could even speak to, Japan back, when you were there with your parents, Japan, in the 90s, how much it's changed. I mean, for me personally, it's changed so much just from when it was 2019 to
Uh-huh.
coming back again this summer, especially Tokyo and other places like that. How much, all of it just continues to change at such a like quick speed.
Yes.
It's crazy. Was it meeting Bob
Yeah.
Babisi in 2015, or did you guys meet before?
With Bobby Vivesi, and that's where we get into where we are now. In 2015, Bob Bavasi, who ran Japan Ball, he reached out to me to make an offer for helping to provide tickets to people coming to Japan. He had worked with Japan Times sports writer Wayne Grasnick for, since around 2005, I think it was, for providing tickets to people coming to Japan. And they made a nice little business out of it. But with our daughter going off to college in the US and we being out of state in every state, I could use a little bit of extra income. So
Yes.
I accepted that little side job without the knowledge that it was going to become a very, very full-time job. Uh, that's kind of how I got into the ticketing business, which eventually helped you get to a ball game or two.
It definitely did, and it's like I said, it's something I plan on doing again. It sounds like you must almost have this be the case, but have you always loved baseball, and what got you into the sport?
Oh yeah, back in the early 1970s, my dad brought me to my first game. Brought the whole family to a game at Candlestick Park. And the Giants were losing to the Dodgers in the bottom of the ninth inning. And my dad said, "Well, time to go." And I'm like, but wait, I was really getting into the game. And I, I was just so engrossed in it. I couldn't leave. But, just as I stood up, resigned to go with the family and call it the end of a game, all of a sudden the rest of the stadium stood up at the same time I did. Willie McCovey parked a ball into the temporary seats in right field for a sayonara victory. Oh, that was great. That was amazing. I had never felt anything like it before. The roar of the crowd for that dramatic ending to the game. And yeah, Willie McCovey then became my favorite player. He left the Giants for a while, but they eventually came back. But oh man, that got me hooked.
Mine, I was Wrigley Field Cubs game,
Mm-hmm.
and similar experience except for that late inning heroics. It was the Cubs ended up winning 18-7, and I think there was almost a home run in every inning. And I left the game, and my dad, first thing he tells me is like, "Mike, it's not like this normally at all." So
Temper those expectations a little bit.
just a bit. But how did you end up deciding to call Yokohama home?
Well, my year at Yokohama National University really did have me fall in love with Yokohama. I went to at least one game with some of the other students, learned some of the chants there. Uh, oh, what was it? I still recall Ute Ute Ponce, Ute Ute Ponce, Ponce Katobase. And it just, Yokohama felt like home. When I first joined the company in 1991, one of the human resources people put me in a little apartment in Chiba. And it was a 2-year lease. So I immediately started looking for a place in Yokohama because that really, really felt like home. Chiba was okay. It was an easy bike ride out to the brand new stadium they built out there for the Chiba Lotte Marines, because Lotte was based in Kawasaki before then. So going out to the Chiba Lotte games, it was Makuhari Mese was a brand new city that they built on landfill, and nobody was there yet. It was like a ghost town on the weekends when there wasn't a game and there wasn't anything happening at the big convention center. It just felt so weird. Yokohama, on the other hand, feels lively. It's a big city without being Tokyo.
Yes, yes.
And it just has a much better vibe, I thought.
For me, like you have those places that end up feeling like home, even when it's halfway around the world, and kind of those experiences that lead up to that. For me, it's, Hiroshima is that, to this point.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like, no matter, I'm still years away from, moving at this point, but I already look, so I can understand being 2 years at a place and like beginning to look day one. So I like that. I like that. What made you decide to branch out from computer coding then? Was it just your daughter's school, or what kind of led that choice for you?
Well, Bob Bavasi really did approach me at the right time. With the daughter heading off to college, and I had, from 2006, after 15 years at the company, I had branched off with a partner to use my Japanese baseball database and combine that with Korean baseball and Taiwanese baseball, all the data of which I was gathering into my database. We had started a company selling data to MLB teams, but it didn't take long to learn that MLB teams are very cheap when it comes to paying for services. So on top of that, was really, really necessary, not just for sending our daughter to college, but for the household finances too. The ticket business, it was really my first feeling of entrepreneurship. While I had been working with my partner at this other job, providing data to MLB teams, this one really felt like I was in control. Bob and Wayne kind of did everything together. If you saw the system that they had at the beginning, they shared an Excel file between the two of them in Dropbox. One of them would edit it during 12 hours. The other would edit it the other 12 hours. And that's how they managed to keep everything in sync between Bob managing everything in Seattle and Wayne managing getting the tickets and getting the tickets to people on the Japan side. So one of the first things I did when taking over for Wayne was move to Google Sheets, where both I and Bob could enter things and edit things in the spreadsheet without worrying about writing over the other person's work. So with this new entrepreneur spirit, what I found is that before I really believed that I was better with computers than with people. But what I was finding was that I was really enjoying interacting with people coming to Japan and finding just the right ticket for them, finding just the right game for them, talking about baseball with them, talking via email. But it was still interacting with people, which is something that I hadn't been doing since I left the company. Because, at a big company, you're, of course, interacting with all of your coworkers every day. But working at home on different projects, I'm not interacting with people. But this ticketing business gave me the opportunity to meet people via email again and just have really great conversations about baseball, about what to expect, And of course, all of the emails that I got from people who went to their first games and were just so amazed by how the crowd was, how they sit next to somebody who shared their dinner with them. They had brought a packed lunch, and it's like they were adopted by this Japanese family at this baseball game. And it's experiences like that I just so enjoyed conversing with people about, that really made this ticketing job all the more worthwhile.
I know we were talking even before we began recording about just that, how just the experience at a ball game, there is like, especially even if you don't love baseball, it's a show. I mean, everything going on is its own unique experience. And I think anybody could like it. But if you are even slightly a fan of baseball, you're going to love it even more just by how much everybody is into the game and just what a unique experience that comes with. And when I was setting up tickets for our trip this last summer, saw some email correspondence from your wife, and I'm sure this is not something you could do just on your own. But could you just talk a little bit about her involvement in supporting you and what you're doing?
Yeah, well, this is literally a mama papa shop. Margarita, who is my wife, she handles the sending out the final confirmations for hotels and often reminding people to tell us where they are staying so that we can get the tickets to them.
Yes.
She's also quality control. I mistype the aisle numbers in the little insert that we send with the tickets, because if you look at the Japanese tickets, a lot of them are a wall of text in kanji that nobody understands in the Western world. And they're even hard to understand for Japanese sometimes. They just try to fit so much information on that page. So with the tickets, I send a little insert saying what gate number to go to get into the stadium, what aisle number to go down to reach your seat, what row number and what seat numbers you have. So all of that information in English in a short, concise insert is invaluable to our customers. And Margarita goes over those, and she points out all the times that I mistype something. One of the common things I do is I flip the aisle number and the row number. I don't know why I do it, but Margarita makes sure that all of that is correct, and that when our guests get to the stadium, they're able to get in easily, find their seat easily, and enjoy the game.
And because it's not always clear when you go into a park where you need to go, so that was huge, especially for us when we were going through some of our games. It was nice just to be able to look at this and know where I needed to go. So much less stress. So it's wonderful.
Yeah, that's it. We're trying to take the stress out of going to a game.
Definitely succeeded. And I noticed when I was looking through your site that I saw mention of sumo tickets, and just wondered if that was still active or what other things you might do ticketing for.
Well, as far as other activities are concerned, pro wrestling, especially the NJPW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, are often requested. I even joined the fan club so that I could get early access to those tickets, because with some of the tournaments they have, Domination is one of them. They sell out for the final matches of those tours, because pro wrestling is a show, and they put on a performance. And right now it's pro basketball, and I was surprised. Somebody asked what was available in basketball in the Tokyo area just a couple days ago, and I went through, and the Shibuya Sun Rockers are sold out. The Chiba Jets are sold out. The Yokohama Buccaneers are sold out. It's like all of these. I'm not really into professional basketball, but just looking the professional basketball scene here in Japan is very, very popular, much more popular than I had ever imagined. So if you're interested in coming to Japan in the baseball off season, basketball is a thing, but getting tickets for it has become rather difficult. You'll need to place your orders a couple months in advance, just like with a lot of the baseball teams. Otherwise, J League is the other big one that we get. J League is the Japanese soccer league. And as for sumo, yes, we do still take requests for sumo. Since limiting sumo to only those who request it back 5 years ago, I think it was, and strongly urging people to avoid weekends and holidays, sumo has been manageable. I took sumo off the site when I had to issue refunds to 55 groups because almost all of them wanted weekends. Most of them wanted the final weekend. At one point, I managed to secure 0 tickets for any weekend for an entire year. I don't discourage weekends because I want to ruin people's vacation. That's not it at all.
Right.
I discourage them because the odds are very much against being able to get them. Really, really want to explain that to people, that yes, your only date that you can go to a sumo match is just so happens to be that final Sunday. I sign up for the pre-public sales lotteries, but even that is no guarantee that I'm going to be able to get them. So please, 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 if you want sumo, avoid weekends is what I really, really, really want to tell people. So long as I avoid weekends, I've been able to get pretty much everything that people have requested outside of that. And there's also concerts. Concerts are also very, very difficult to get. I did manage to get several people to Hatsune Miku concerts at list price, but for the most part, even those are very, very difficult. In fact, almost any artist is very difficult. I've got one person wanting Moritaka Chisato, a Japanese pop artist from the 1980s. She is very popular. She sells out everywhere she goes. Concerts are really hard.
And like with fan clubs and like different things to be able to purchase tickets and, you know, how everything is set up. I've even tried to look for, when we went over, just trying to find some things for my son, and it is. I mean, like, it's such a maze to go through. So having any success is huge. Is there any struggles that you'd like to share just in regards to what you've been doing for Japan Ball tickets?
Well, 2023 was a struggle in and of itself. Reopening to unrestricted tourism was a bit overwhelming this year. Margarita and I got very little sleep as we were preparing orders and, well, filling, getting, preparing, sending orders. It was very rough. I still haven't gotten to about 1,700 email messages that I got between the end of February and mid-May. Mid-May was the first time that I was able to get all the way through that day's inbox. It was so overwhelming. And most of it was people who wanted to go to games that following weekend. They had arrived in Japan, they wanted to go to a game, but it's sold out. What can I do? Those kinds of questions. And I want to help every one of them. But the one thing that I really want to emphasize is you really need to plan ahead. For the carp and the tigers, you need to have a request in before March 1st. For any other team, you need to have a request in 2 months in advance, especially the Giants and Bay Stars. These two sell out frequently. Other teams, you can usually get tickets 3 weeks, 2 weeks in advance, but last minute, It's really, really tough.
I could agree 100% with it just needing to be as far out as in advance as possible to do that, and kind of looking at the schedule when it comes up. I remember looking through trying to see what dates I had in mind too, and I went in with we may get tickets to some of the games, we may get them for all, and just hoping it was there. But I'm like, I would agree 100% if it's something of importance you want to do as far out in advance as possible. And then, like you had mentioned, aiming for stadiums that have larger seating could help,
Yeah.
increase that a little bit as well. I like that. I like that. That's a lot of good recommendations that I would say is, definitely with things opening back up and people coming as much as they are and only seemingly to increase. I would agree. Michael, what are your goals for 2024 and beyond?
Well, as I mentioned, when Bob started this service, he he did an amazing job of taking a shopping cart service, and which is really made for selling
Yes.
T-shirts, and making it work for a concierge service, and running it all in spreadsheets was okay when there were about 200 orders per year. When it started getting up to about 500 orders per year, it's started to cause some strain, and that's when I brought Margarita in to help with some of the ticket ordering and hotel confirmations and such. But now it's gotten to the point where we really need some custom software to run the business, to make sure that I don't miss anything. With running it all with spreadsheets, I am surprised at how few errors get in there with all the copying and pasting going on. That's definitely not a way to run a business. So this off season, I'm working on. I'm going back to my roots in programming and creating a system to manage all of the orders in a way that's going to be much easier on both me and Margarita, to present us with what needs to be done today, what tickets need to be purchased, when they need to be purchased, all of that. So it's more of the back end, although we are our daughter, who is a user experience, user interface expert now. She's helping out a bit with prettying up the front end as well, and hopefully the whole experience from ordering tickets to getting your tickets is going to be much more streamlined. So Margarita and I can actually have time to sleep in March. And the user will be getting information that they need when they need it. For example, right now, or this past year, Margarita sends out the final confirmations about 4 days before people arrive. And sometimes that's not early enough. Another big category of emails that I missed during these months were people saying that they haven't received a final confirmation yet. They're leaving tomorrow. What's going on? So one of the first things that I'm working on is automating sending out emails messages to people when I bring the tickets in. So as soon as the tickets are in hand, you're going to know that they are in hand, and you won't have to worry about whether or not we got the tickets, because up until now, it's been a guess, I guess. People just had to believe. I had one person write me, this was pre-pandemic. He said that he had a bet with his fellow travelers that we were a scam and they weren't going to have tickets. And so when he received the tickets, when they checked into the hotel, he wrote me saying that I caused him to lose the bet.
Uh,
Hopefully, a more modern look on the homepage will help alleviate that kind of side bets going on. But that's the main focus of this off season is getting a back end system up and running that's going to be beneficial not only to Margarita and I, but also to all of our guests, so that they know exactly where we are in the process of getting them their tickets.
Love it. I love it. And I look forward to it too, because I definitely will be returning once more, on my times I have. And then when I go with my daughter, where it's just the two of us, it's going to be a few years till we can do that. But I know I'll be reaching out again, Michael. I appreciate so much all that you're doing, your wife and everything. And I got to tell you that it has made many memories for myself, and I'm sure for everyone else that's taking advantage of the service as well.
Yeah, we get lots of return customers. We get lots of emails saying that this was their highlight of their trip. And I just love all the email that we get from our customers. I prefer to call them our guests because they are so much more than just customers. And I think that that's one of the reasons why most of our guests, most of the people writing us from Australia and Hawaii are referrals. They heard about us through friends of theirs who used our service. And providing good service is something that people really, really want, it seems. And providing a service where you can talk to a human is becoming more and more scarce. And I think that that's another big appeal that we have to people, is that they have a human to talk to if something goes wrong. And even if something goes right, they have a human to talk to, because people love sharing what they've done, what they've experienced.
Could not agree more. And thank you again, Michael. One more time, where could listeners of Lost Without Japan reach out to and find you?
You can order tickets for your next trip at japanballtickets.com. That's all one word. Or you can write me at michael@japanball.com. The 2024 season is already up on the site to assist your planning. I do expect to announce the game starting times around January. That's usually when they're released, as well as the preseason. So right now, there's nothing in March except at the very end when the season begins. It's just the regular season that's up there now. If you're going to be coming in October, I've promised Margarita that I was not going to be doing postseason again. There's just, my blood pressure gets too high, and I disappoint more people than I help. So October is very unlikely. So if you're making plans to go to a baseball game, please make it during the regular season. And preseason, I tell people every year, preseason games do not sell out. They are just as exciting as regular season games still, even though the volume may be turned down from 12 to 10. Okay? Preseason games are also a great deal of fun, and you don't have to use our service for them, which is actually better because it rains a lot in March. So if it's sunny and there's a game, I encourage you to go without using our service. If you're curious about what's available and you can't really get the idea from just looking at the site and the schedule, yeah, please go ahead. Drop me a line at michael@japanball.com.
Thank you again, Michael. Please give a follow, a like, and a comment on your favorite streaming service. And for updates to the show, feel free to give a follow on Instagram at Lost Without Japan. If you have enjoyed today's show, feel free to also look at our Patreon links below. And we're going to be using all of that I am getting for that time for next summer to record even more sounds from Japan. One of the fun things I did, Michael, was record that fan chant section that my son was in and kind of shared that with
Yeah.
others that's there. So even if you can't be there, you can at least, seem like you're there with some headphones. Thank you, Michael, so much for joining us today.
Thank you for the time.
On behalf of Lost Without Japan and the entire crew, I'd like to thank you for joining us today for this interview. We look forward to seeing you on board again for our next regularly scheduled episode as we continue our discussion on Japan, travel, culture, and our Lost Without moments. To everyone out there, Oginki Day. Stay well, my friends.